So, part three, extended writing. So, this part is arguably the part of the entire paper that most students struggle with because it is the part that requires the most amount of words, and the essays in this part have no um, points or notes for students to refer to, meaning that it's not guided and the students have to write independently. So for this part, students are given the same amount of marks, 20 marks, but they are expected to write anywhere between 200 to 250 words. Okay, so let's go through the first question, an example of the first question that you would get in this part of the question paper. Question 1. Reviews required. Have you gone to any place of interest lately? Send us your review and say what you enjoyed about the place. Would you recommend the place to your friends and why? The best reviews will be published in our newsletter. So, the reason that I specifically highlighted this type of question is because reviews are somewhat of a new thing for the SPM format. And based on what I gather from my students, this is the essay that they are most clueless about. Now, you are given three different questions for part three, and you can choose one. The first one is almost always an article or a factual essay. The last question is typically a story. And the second question, like this one, is the review. So for this video, I will mostly be featuring reviews because, like I mentioned earlier, it is the one most of my students struggle with. Okay, so we have already gone through the example of questions, so let's move on to an example of an answer. Now, the question asked whether or not we've gone to any place of interest lately. So the place of interest could be anywhere. It can be somewhere local in Malaysia, or it can be somewhere overseas. And we have to say what we enjoyed about the place, what made it special, what made it stand out, and whether or not we would recommend the place to our friends, meaning that we want to write about whether or not it was a good experience or a bad experience. Now, an example of the answer. Review of Mahua Waterfall. Last December, my family and I went for a picnic at Mahua Waterfall. It was undeniably a pleasant, family-friendly destination located in the Tambunan district of Central Sabah. I'll initiate my review by stating that the drive to Mahua was smooth and uninterrupted. The roads were immaculately tarred and in impeccable condition. It was very well signposted and convenient to find. The affordable fee of 3 ringgit per adult and 1 ringgit per child was another commendable fact. The walkway to the waterfall was short, well maintained, and suitable for individuals of all ages. The waterfall itself was an appropriately sized 20-meter cascade of crystal clear water surrounded by lush tropical forest. The most impressive feature of Mahua Waterfall is the wildlife. The plethora of birds, plants, and insects along trails, paired with the numerous gigantic trees along the Minduk Sirum Trail, are all photography worthy. Anyone who has an affinity for nature and or photography would happily reap the benefits of being in such a place. The facilities at Mahua were adequate and sufficed in meeting the needs of visitors like myself. The toilets, rest area, and dormitories were all in excellent state. The staff made the trip all the more enjoyable by being both friendly and helpful. Overall, I personally find Mahua Waterfall to be worth the trip for an equally fun-filled yet relaxing day to meet any individual's need for an adventurous getaway. I highly recommend it. Okay, so in this answer or this example of an essay, the first thing you should do is write or state the time that you did whatever it is that you're describing. So in this case, you are describing the last time you went somewhere on a holiday and you state that it was done last December. It's important to note that if you are reviewing something, it means that you are talking about something that you have done in the past, and therefore you should write in the past tense, which is why I start with last December. Okay, so last December, my family and I went for a picnic at Mahua Waterfall. Now, the next thing you should state is where you went. So if you went to London, you went to Paris, you went to Mahua Waterfall, you went to Kuala Lumpur, any place you want to write about, you should first state the place at the very beginning of your essay. Next, it was undeniably a pleasant, family-friendly destination located in the Tambunan district of Central Sabah. So the next thing you want to do is you want to mention the overall perception you have of the place. Okay, in this case, you're talking about a place, so you want to say or you want to describe what you thought in general of the place. So if it is a positive review, then of course you will be writing positive things at the very beginning of the essay. Next, I'll initiate my review by stating that the drive to Mahua was smooth and uninterrupted. The roads were immaculately tarred and in impeccable condition. So at this point, you're saying that your first impression of Mahua was already good because even the journey to the place was pleasant. Immaculately tarred meaning there were no holes on the road, impeccable condition meaning they were very well maintained. It was very well signposted and convenient to find. Here you are highlighting the fact that it was an easy place to find and you didn't even get lost on your way there. The affordable fee of 3 ringgit and 1 ringgit was another commendable fact, which means that you are highlighting to the public, since it is a review and chances are people will be reading the review, you are highlighting the fact that it is affordable and the price is appropriate and not intimidating to most people. Next, the walkway to the waterfall was short, well maintained, and suitable for individuals of all ages. The waterfall itself was an appropriately sized 20-meter cascade of crystal clear water surrounded by lush tropical forest. Now, another important thing that you need to highlight, or you should highlight to make it a complete essay, is to aptly describe the place that you visited. So describe the size, describe the surrounding, describe the environment, or the general atmosphere or ambience of the place. Next, the most impressive feature of Mahua Waterfall is the wildlife. The plethora of birds, plants, and insects along the trails, paired with the numerous gigantic trees along the Minduk Sirong Trail, are all photography worthy. So, one of the things that you should continue writing about is what exactly about the place stood out to you the most. Of course, you can write about everything that was special to you about the place, but it would take too much time and effort, and ultimately, in an exam, you are on a time bomb. So it is enough to probably highlight just the best parts. So describe what was the thing that you liked the most about the place, explain why, and state the reasons or the examples to why it was your favorite thing. Next, the facilities at Mahua were adequate and sufficed in meeting the needs of visitors like myself. The toilets, rest areas, and dormitories were all in excellent state. The staff made the trip all the more enjoyable by being both friendly and helpful. So, in any trip or any place that you go to, you will definitely have to have an opinion on the service that is offered there. So, it is good to maybe highlight if the service was good and if the staff were up to your standards. And lastly, to conclude the essay, Overall, I personally find Mahawa Waterfall to be worth the trip for an equally fun-filled yet relaxing day to meet any individual's need for an adventurous getaway. Highly recommended. So at this point, you are saying, all in all, it is a place that you are fond of. And you should also remind people at the end of the review that it is indeed a place worth going to and that you personally recommend it.